Okay, so let's have a look at attempting a higher mark question. And this one in particular is worth 9 marks, so it's well worth having a go at, even if you don't get all the way through it. It's a good way of picking up marks in the areas that you do have knowledge of. Okay, so it says the circle x squared plus y squared is 16 and the line y is x plus 2 intersect at points P and Q. And it gives you a diagram here, and it asks us first of all, so this is a 3-part question. In the first part it asks us to show algebraically that the x coordinates of P and Q satisfy this equation here written in blue. Now, the fact that it's talked about things intersecting suggests simultaneous equations, and there is a video on the channel that deals with this. So when we have a simultaneous equation situation, we try to combine those equations to produce solutions. Now here we would expect that there would be 2 solutions because we have 2 places where the straight line and the circle cross. 2 solutions suggests a quadratic situation, and of course that is what we've got here. So let's have a look and see how we would move forward with that simultaneous equation scenario. So we've got the 2 given equations, and we can use this information here to substitute for this information here. And what that allows us to do is to remove one of the variables, in this case y, and to produce an equation that only contains x. And that's a happy thing because our target is an equation that only contains x. Okay, so by substitution then, we remove this y and replace it with its equal, which is x plus 2. The next thing to do would be to square out the brackets, and that gives us x squared plus 4, sorry, this has been rubbed out for some reason, plus 2x plus another 2x. Okay, and don't forget you've got the x squared at the front and the equals 16 at the end. Now tidying that up gives us 2x squared plus 4x plus 4, and then in the same step I've moved, sorry, that looks like a minus sign, I haven't moved yet the 16, but in the next step I have done. What I've done is move the 16 across to the left, which gives me 4 take 16, which is minus 12. And I then look at the coefficients, the numbers at the front of each of the terms, and notice that they share a factor of 2. So I've divided the entire thing by 2, which gives me x squared plus 2x minus 6 equals 0, and that indeed is my target. So, first part of this question complete, and what we've done is we've come across simultaneous equations and solving quadratics, so 2 skills that you've drawn together in order to answer one part of a 3-part question. Okay, now in part B it asks us to write the equation x squared plus 2x minus 6 is 0 in the form x plus a squared minus b equals 0. Now that is a general format of a completed square, and again on the channel there is a video about completing the square. So in effect, although it doesn't say complete the square in the question, that is what it's asking you to do. So to complete the square, we look at the coefficient of the central term, halve it, so that's 1, add it to x, and then square the whole thing and see how close we are to the original. So x plus 1 all squared gives us x squared plus 2x plus 1. So both the first terms are the same. The only difference occurs here. We want minus 6, but we've ended up with plus 1. And so to get from plus 1 to minus 6, we would need to remove 7 to get to the target. So what we can say is that x squared plus 2x minus 6 is the same as x plus 1 all squared minus 7. And if you look at that, that is in the format x plus a squared minus b. Okay, I'll just flip this over and get it in the right position. And that brings us to part C of the same question. And it says, hence or otherwise solve x squared plus 2x minus 6 is 0. Give your answer in surd form. So you've got two distinct instructions. Solve this and give your answer in surd form. And for the purposes of this question, surd form is just a number expressed as a square root. So let's look at the wording here. Hence means use part B, what's gone before, to resolve and find an answer. Otherwise gives you the option of using a different method if you want to do. Okay, so we'll go with the hence and we'll use what we did in part B. And in part B we completed the square and we found that x squared plus 2x minus 6 was the same as x plus 1 all squared minus 7, and we also know from this question that both of those are equal to 0. And so because this is more difficult to look at and we couldn't factorise it, what we're going to do is use the completed square form to find the solutions. So let's just use this side of this equation. X plus 1 all squared minus 7 equals 0. Add 7 to both sides. Take the square root of both sides, remembering that when you take a square root you can have either a positive or a negative result. And finally take 1 from both sides. And there is a video on the channel about surd manipulation, which is what we're going to have a look at now. So here we go. And here's my comment about otherwise meaning a different method if you wish. You won't lose any marks here if you use a different method, as long as you get the right answer and show you're working. Okay, so I've used now the formula to resolve the x squared plus 2x minus 6 equals 0. And you do in fact and of course end up with the same answer, but it just shows you an alternative. So just explaining a little bit here about what I've done with this part of the answer, which we can't see all of. Just a second. There we go. Is that root 28 there can be manipulated to root 4 times root 7, and that whittles down to 2 root 7, and so by manipulating the surd in this answer you do get to the same target as I got by completing the square. Some people prefer one method, some people prefer the other. As I say, it really doesn't matter because they'll both give you the same answer, and in this particular case you are given the choice. If it had said in the question hence solve, then you would have to use what went in part B, because otherwise you would lose marks. So if you're given the choice, that's fine. If you're not given the choice, then you must follow the direct instruction. And so that is a 9-mark question which involves simultaneous equations, solving quadratics, completing the square, and surd manipulation.